The way to think about it is to break down your ad spend in terms of your cost to get a call booked. So let's say that you're spending $100 a day on ads and that your cost to get a call booked is $100. That means you're going to get about one call booked every day. And let's say you're enrolling 1 in 5. Well, that would mean that you're getting a call booked every day and that approximately every 5 days, you're going to make an enrollment. So the way that you calibrate how much you want to spend on ads is basically just how many times do you want to make an offer? How many times do you want to have a sales conversation that might end with someone becoming a client? You know, things happen. Let's say you start spending money on advertising and then you hire that second salesperson. And then your first salesperson, their girlfriend dumps them or their dog dies, right? Like they're going to, all of a sudden now they're going to have a month where they probably don't enroll very much because they're heartbroken, right? So all things being equal, the answer to your question is yes. If you're earning $5 back for every dollar you spend on Facebook, you should be able to scale up that ad spend and scale up the income commensurate with that. But you guys, you have to understand, business is business, life is life. There's COVID, there's always something that's going on that's going to interfere with that nice, neat little predictable progression. But even so, that is how you scale a high ticket coaching business. You just spend more money on advertising, you talk to more people, you make more offers, and you make more enrollments. It really depends on the role that you're hiring them for. You know, in the beginning, you may not need someone full-time. And so you bring them on part-time with the understanding that their role could expand, you know, and that really works for a lot of people, right? Like, let's say you have, the example I was using before was of a mindset coach. You're going to bring on a mindset coach, but you really only have enough work for them to do like 10 hours a week. So you bring them on, you say, here's what I'm going to pay you for the 10 hours a week. And as the company grows, I really hope that you can blossom into this leader and this position will expand along with you. And I think that's great. That's like what a lot of people want. So most of the people that we've brought them on part-time. And then as the company's grown, their role has expanded into more of a full-time position. Another thing to consider when you guys are hiring people is you've got their base. You have to decide what percentage of their compensation is going to be base and what percentage of their compensation is going to be OTE, on target earnings, right? So let's say that your company is a good sized company and you're bringing on a really important role. You're bringing on like a chief marketing officer. The first thing you're going to do is you're going to check the salary band for that position. What do chief marketing officers get paid? This is something I did not do in the early stages of my company. I just pulled the number out of my butt. And those numbers were way higher than they needed to be. So the first thing you want to do is just check, if your business is in Los Angeles, what does a chief marketing officer in Los Angeles get paid? And you can go to sites like Indeed, or you can go to sites like Glassdoor, and they're going to give you a range. You know, a CMO gets paid between 80K and 150K or whatever it ends up being. What I like to do is pay toward the top of that salary band and then maybe add like 5 to 10%. Okay. So now we know that is the total compensation that person is going to get, right? That is their on target earnings. So like that, we know that when all is said and done, their total comp is let's say it's going to be, I don't know, $180,000 a year or something like that, right? Now we have to decide what percentage of that is going to be base and what percentage of that is going to be performance based. Okay. So let's say that you go to your new chief marketing officer and you say, look, as a base, I'm going to pay you $100,000 a year. But you have the opportunity to earn another 80K if you hit these particular metrics. This much sales, this much revenue, this much profit, whatever you want to base it on. And that would be their OTE. So their on target earnings would be 180,000. And that's another way, guys, that you can now drive behavior by using compensation and also limiting your exposure. Because let's say you bring on this chief marketing officer and you're like, bro, I'm going to pay you $180,000 this year just for showing up. Now you're not incentivizing their behavior and you're really exposing yourself, because what if this person sucks? right? You guys have to come to terms with the fact that a lot of the people that you hire, especially in the beginning, when you're still building a culture and you're still learning how to lead, you're going to hire people who suck. And I'm going to try to train you guys so that doesn't happen very often. But when part of protecting yourself is using that kind of performance-based bonus. I suggest you guys compensate your salespeople, pay them on commission. Pay them on commission. It should be about 10% of the enrollment. So if your program is $5,000 and you have a salesperson, that salesperson should make $500 from that $5,000 person that he enrolled. Now you can also have strategic based bonuses and strategic incentives to drive behavior. So like, for example, if somebody gets 10 enrollments in 1 month, maybe you give them an extra couple $1,000s or something like that to incentivize and drive that behavior forward. So the base compensation for an enrollment coach should be about 10% of whatever they sell, but then you can have performance-based bonuses on top of that. You just do it. If you guys want to know how to fire someone, go watch the movie Moneyball with Brad Pitt. I don't know if you guys have seen that movie, but in that movie, he literally has to fire or trade all these baseball players over and over and over again. Like half the movie is literally just scenes of him like firing people.
Pete, I gotta let you go. Jack's office will handle the details.
That's it?
Would you rather get a bullet to the head or 5 to the chest and bleed to death?
So when I usually let people go, I will just say, hey, listen, man, I have to pull you off the team. Here's the reason why. If I'm letting them go on good terms, so sometimes we've had to let people go because we just don't have enough for them to do, right? If I'm letting them go on good terms, I'll usually offer to tap into my network and help them get another gig if I possibly can. But yeah, you just sort of tear off the Band-Aid and just make it really, really clear. If you guys are going to offer some kind of like a severance, you can offer some sort of severance in exchange for that person signing a release. So if that person is leaving on bad terms, or if they have bad blood, or you should just suspect that like you're going to let them go and they're going to be upset about it, you can say, hey, listen, man, what I'd love to do is I'd love to give you an extra two weeks compensation. I'd love to give you an extra 1 month compensation, but you just got to sign this release. And that release can have, should have non-disclosure, should have, protecting your trade secrets, all these things. And you should have those people sign that paperwork to that effect when they come on board in the first place. But that's one way that you can protect yourself, is if they've signed a release, that release should say that's a covenant that they can't sue you for any reason down the road. For me, I have a pretty big audience. So the first thing I usually do is tap into my audience. And so that is always something you guys should do because it's easy and it's free. You could just literally send an email to your audience saying, hey, this is the position. This is what it entails. This is what it looks like. If you're interested, book a call or fill out this application and let's talk. So that's always like the first place to start, because there's people on your list that know, like, and trust you. And some of them might be professional salespeople who are looking for a better gig. If you can't find anything that way, the next best way to find amazing salespeople is to go through a recruiter. The high ticket industry has grown enough that there's this whole cottage industry of trained high ticket closers who can come and work for you. And there's people that have built entire businesses around just placing those people into your company. The basic price for a online high ticket workshop should be in the neighborhood of 5 to 10K. We've had some clients go as low as 3, but that was kind of just to get their feet wet, because you have to remember that whether you're delivering it in a group program or whether you're delivering it one-on-one doesn't affect the value. The value is the outcome. Many cases, it can take someone longer to get to the outcome when they're working with you one-on-one versus if they're in a group program, because now you don't have that group energy and that group dynamic that creates that sense of urgency and that sense of culture. One of the things we've noticed over the years with our clients is that a lot of them started out doing one-on-one and then switched to group. And I've almost never seen someone switch back. It's happened a few times, but most of the time when they get the group program cranking, that's like all they want to do, because it just produces superior outcomes. For retargeting, guys, you can change a few different things. You can change the medium. So for example, let's say you're driving people into a really direct 5-minute VSL, and then you retarget everybody who didn't book a call, retarget them with your webinar, because some people want to consume information in different ways. So you would retarget them with basically the same message, but in a different media. So for example, I might take one of my webinars and transcribe it and put it into a PDF. And so someone clicks my ad, they register for my webinar and they don't book a call, or maybe they don't even register for the webinar. Great. I retarget those people with a PDF that has the same hook, get this free guide to blah, 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 blah. Does that make sense? And then now they can consume that information in a different way, in the way that they want.
I'm just so impressed with everybody I've met, the staff members, the new people coming in. This is such a high quality group of people.
Really listening for those little nuggets that always seem to show up.
I'm getting a steady stream of new clients.
I did not realize how cool everyone would be. Like, it was so fun and just like supportive, and knowing I had that community.
I always love it when Russ talks. I really like the very specific strategy, and he's always just direct and to the point, and that's exactly what I need.
I've learned how to do sales in a way that's really all about the client and their needs, not about myself and my program.
The fun, the energy, the people, but really the transformation.
And they give you truly what you need. They give the strategy, they leave you with the mindset and the heart and the spirit that you need to go out and own your greatness and stand in that every single day.
At the end of the day, what we really found was purpose.